Hi everybody, it's Jessica Nicole Dickerson, aka JND, and welcome back to another video. So for the month of April, I'm going to be more on top of my uploading, so make sure to subscribe and like if you like this channel. Okay, so getting into the video, so I'm doing a March wrap up. March was a crazy month for me. I worked on a production, so every day basically except for like Sundays I was busy in rehearsals, helping. I had a bunch of projects to work on stage, off stage, and just helping the actors and the crew mesh. So it was a very busy month, and on top of that I have rehearsals for a show that I'm going to be in, yada yada yada. Watch my most recent vlog if you want to see me tangent about that. In the month of March, I actually managed to read 7 books. I'm pretty proud because I was super busy, but like some of them were short, some of them were plays, some of them were comics, so that explains why. But getting into the books, the first book that I read was The Rock and the River, and I'll make sure to write down all the books and their author names down below so I don't butcher any names. But this story was so impactful. I did start reading it in February, but it took me so long to finish it just because it was so emotionally tangled, and it was a hard read because it's so true to life. This book is about a boy named Sam, and his father works for the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King very closely, and his brother Stick has joined the Black Panthers. So the metaphor, the rock and the river, is that you can't be the rock and the river, and the river always wants to be the rock, curious what is it to be like to be still, and the rock will always be curious as to the river and what would it be like to flow and get to move. So Sam, the main character, is stuck between wanting to do what the Black Panthers do and take action, and then wanting to do what his father does in the civil rights movement, and seeing them both as just, but you can't really be both. So this book was 5 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend. It is quite emotional and very sad, especially the ending. Whew, okay, but it was a good time. It was a good time. It was a good time. Lots of lessons learned. The next book that I read was Locomotion by Jacqueline Woodson, which I took out from my library, so I don't have a physical copy, but I love Jacqueline Woodson so much. Like, I really need to pick up one of her books every month because I just feel like she is such an amazing writer, and if you haven't read anything by Jacqueline Woodson, fix it right now. So Locomotion was about 2 siblings basically that lost their parents in a fire, and one of the siblings, they go into the foster system, and I forget the name of the main character, sorry, but the older brother gets taken away to a different house, and it's talking about his life after this experience, and it's just the way Jacqueline Woodson writes, it's so amazing, and she clearly cares about these characters, and even though her books are so short, I find that they're still like pulling at my heartstrings, and they're the perfect length that they don't depress me, but at the same time they still move me. I definitely recommend this. I also gave that a 5 out of 5 stars. So yeah. So the next 3 plays that I read were for the theater-a-thon, which I have a vlog that is up if you'd like to see me react to these. The first play I finished was Ruined by Lynn Nottage, which talks about what was happening in the Congo after like a civil war broke out and what war was doing to women. So Ruined is basically about how women were getting sexually assaulted, in how their genitalia were mutilated, and I know that's heavy. Trigger warning, if you are not cool with any of that, you should never watch the play then or read it. But for anybody who wants to be educated about this, I think it's an important message because it's happening to women and people are not acknowledging it. The play overall was amazing, 5 out of 5. It's very sad, but it makes you care about things, and it educates you, and I think that's what theater should be about. It should inform you about something that's important. So I truly loved it. It takes place in a prostitute house, and the madam mommy who runs the prostitute house takes in a girl who was ruined. So she was damaged, or she was assaulted, and now mom is taking care of her. It's a very sad story. Just be prepared. Many trigger warnings because yes, it's a tough story, but I think it's one that needs to be heard. I think it's a good read. It's so sad. The next play I read was Pantomime by Derek Walcott, and again, if you want to hear more thoughts, please watch my vlog. But he is an African playwright, and this book talks a lot about what happened in the Caribbean. The play takes place in Tobago, and it also happens in one scene and one location where the boss and the servants are talking, and he's not really a servant, he's working for him because it's after a like post-colonial war, but there's still an imbalance of power structure where the whites are superior to the black or colored. So the play talks a lot about that, and I thought it was very interesting, a very interesting conversation about the people who came from Europe and how they need to manage what they've done to these places. So it was very interesting. I gave that a 4 out of 5. So Pantomime by Derek Walcott, I recommend. The next play I read was Stage Kiss by Sarah Rawl, and this play had me shook. I talk more about it in my vlog, but I thought it was written so well. It was so engaging, and this play kind of plays on being on stage and off stage. So the play itself is talking about these two actors who are starring in a theater play, and they kind of fall in love with each other, but they have lives outside. They're like, the woman is married, the guy's dating somebody, but on stage they have this romance and they end up having a love affair. And the play, you see them get into character and break character, and you see them at rehearsals, and it's very interesting. The writing's so well done. My issue is the ending and the cheating elements, because they are in other relationships, and that's not a spoiler, it's pretty obvious from the beginning, but I had issues with that ending though. So if you're interested to know what I'm talking about, read it. It's on Scribd, that's the PDF, so if you're interested, let me know down below if you've ever read it and how you feel about it. Am I the only one? I don't, maybe I'm not, who knows. So I give that one a 4 out of 5. The ending, man, it made me, I couldn't. I'm sorry. The next book that I read, which was so amazing, it's been a pretty good reading month, even though I feel like I haven't read a lot. I feel like I've read quality books. Yes, was Well Read Black Girl. Wow, if you are a black girl who wants to get into the creative industry and you haven't read this, what are you doing? Because this is so amazing. So amazing. Like, I can't, like, Lynn Nottage, because I worked on intimate apparel this month and then I read Ruined. Lynn Nottage has a piece in here talking about women, which I loved. Jacqueline Woodson's in here. She's talking about just so many great things. And if you need inspiration, if you're in a rut, if you feel like you can't do anything, this is the book to pick up. So if you need inspiration, definitely pick this up, no matter the color. But I feel like it's a book that is made for black women, because how often can I say that? How often can I say this book was for black women? Like, never. So don't be too salty, okay? It's just like, you know, sometimes we gotta take a shout out, you know? Sometimes you gotta shout out the ones you love, and occasionally you gotta be like uplifting your, you know, your sisters. So yeah, I loved it. And I know this anthology is mostly about how these authors got into reading and how reading has changed their lives. So I also think it is great for anybody, honestly. And the audiobook was really cool because a lot of the individuals who spoke and wrote a piece in here were on the audiobook. So that was also on Scribd. But yeah, what an inspiration for me personally. I was just like, yes, I need to get off my ass and do something. The next book I read was Heaven by Angela Johnson. It was a 4 out of 5, probably more like a 3.7. It talks about a girl who, I don't want to give away the kind of reveal because it takes a while to like understand, but this girl is getting letters from her uncle, and she lives with her mom and her dad and her brother, and things just get complicated. How do I explain? Marley has a complicated home life, and it's a very short book. It goes straight into it, and I don't think you should know much going into this book. I was a little disappointed, maybe because it was so short, but it didn't really resolve the issues. It just introduced them, and it introduced all the family complexities, because there are several families. Her best friend's family is complicated. Her friend, who's an adult, has a very complicated life. He's a single father. So it talks a lot about the complexities of life, which I really enjoyed, but I didn't see how these characters really dealt with those issues besides denial, which I don't know I think that's a really good way to deal with issues, but they were kids, so I understand that. But I would have loved to see in young adult, not to just introduce issues and the complexities, but also talk about them, give them a healthy space to grow and marinate and be discussed, if that makes sense. But I still think it was very powerful, and it's a quick little cute read. So if you wanna see some complicated-ish, read. The last thing that I read was a comic. I finally finished Ruins Volume 2, and this is the series that's written by Rainbow Rowell, so of course, and this I have a signed copy because, you know, you girls special. I'm just kidding, no. My parents got it for me, and I actually see Volume 3 is coming out this month, which is so exciting because I think it's actually, this comic is super engaging. I love the story of runaways and superheroes, so if you love superhero comics, I highly recommend. It's just very captivating. Basically, if you don't know Runaways, it's a Marvel story about kids who had villain parents and they decided to run away, and they're kind of scared of becoming villains themselves, so they're very complex. And Volume 2 opens up some queerness, so I'm very excited for Volume 3. Let's just say that. Tea. Okay guys, that is everything I read for the month of April, so make sure you subscribe if you want to see more videos from Jess. Yes. So thank you for watching, and I hope you come back for more. Bye.